Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a reshell on this controller. We're going to do faceplate and we're going to do back shell. And you can follow along if this is something you haven't done before. And I'll show you all the steps. So, as well as the cosmetic condition, which will be replaced and obviously much better. There's some things where, especially replacing the back shell itself, even if yours looks okay, if you have mushy buttons where it doesn't really click, if you have obviously loose plastic when you shake it, replacing this back shell and cleaning all that out will really help with the back paddles if they feel mushy, and you don't really want to get the plastic in the joysticks because a lot of times they can go bad, but what actually ends up happening is you get a little piece of plastic in there and it grinds it up and it'll go bad before it even normally would, which it normally would pretty fast. So what I do is I keep my finger off of this because you don't want to push down, and I pry it from the top. So have something like this, and I go over the bumper, and this one still has the glue on it. If yours has never been opened before, it's gonna have the glue. So when you pry, it's gonna feel, you're gonna have a lot of tension. So like, you can pop it out, but even still here, it might be glued around here. So if you're trying to save the faceplate, I would be careful, but don't be too scared because these, once they start crumbling, they'll keep crumbling, but if it's all good, like, they're pretty stable and will come off easily without breaking. This one will get replaced, obviously. But take these out. So you have your faceplate off, and now you can take these off. It isn't necessary, I'm pretty sure, actually. So these screws, this one has never been opened before, you can tell because of the white sticker that would be broken. So screw, 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 screw. And this is going to be a Torx 8-bit. A lot of times you can get a cheap plastic one. I just use this because I do this every day. So take these out. And when you come across the bottom ones, if you're taking your controller apart just to clean it and you're not replacing the back shell, be a little bit more careful with these because the plastic that they go into is pretty brittle. It shouldn't be a problem if you're using hand tools, but so once those are out, the shell is off. All you have to do is, this trigger is broken, so that will get replaced. But you I think it's easiest to pull up on the bumpers or the rumble motors. That's kind of how I do it and the way you want to go. So this is the inside. Like I said, considering this is missing all the rubber, it's actually in pretty decent condition. But like, once something starts breaking in here, it like snowballs, where once it crumbles a little, it'll keep crumbling all over, and that could cause a lot of problems, and I just think it's best to replace it at that point. So what we're gonna have is Torx 4 for these and Torx 6 for everything else. So you need 8, 6, and a 4. So and these screws might fall out and stick to the magnets, no big deal. Just don't lose these because there's only 4 of them, so you can't even use like a replacement You could from another, but there's so few. You don't want to lose these. So now these can come out. And what you want to check on these to make sure they're good, if this is compressed really badly, it might be worth replacing. But these don't go bad very quickly. What will happen is these will break, so your trigger selectors won't work correctly. So I would just look at these, make sure they're good. All good. Okay, so now these are loose too. So you can let them fall out. So everything else is going to be a torque 6. So you can start anywhere, it doesn't matter too much. I usually start with the battery cover. You can keep all the screws together to keep it easy. And this is the battery, and this is gonna come out. This can come out. And these are the magnets to inside the case. It'll connect and charge with a charging block. But you wanna mark these because they're supposed to go a certain way. They'll still work if they're off, but if you definitely do this step if you use the charging block. It'll make a difference. So just mark up so that when we put them back in, it'll be the same direction. These you might, if you're using a hand tool, it might be some force that you have to push down because there's a spring in there. But once they come out, they're all good. So here, you're gonna have to bend it out. And it sounds bad, but I've never broken a controller this way. It's completely fine for however many I've done. So this comes out. And this one has the little rubber. This one's missing it. I'm gonna replace this. You don't need them, but since this is a customer controller, I'm gonna replace this with a new one. Now these you have to fish out. You have to get under them. So that comes up. And the last thing is these magnets. These are the strongest. Be careful if you have a lot of screws, like these will pick them up. So I usually separate them. And we're gonna do the same. We're gonna get under it. So we'll just leave these over here and hopefully it'll not pull anything. So this is just the shell. This is trash now if you're gonna be replacing it. We already have everything off of it that we need. So, in brand new condition, this is what the faceplate's gonna look like. We'll leave this over here because that will be the last step. And this is the back shell. So it looks all the same. Obviously much better condition. So now you're gonna need glue. So any kind of glue will work, even if you have some sort of really sticky mesh, like what was on there already, like this black tape. You can, if that's still there, you can just use that, it'll probably work, but I glue all of them. So you're gonna put a dot of glue where the magnets were. Hold on. So it matters what order you do this in. Start off by putting these on and let them stick so that they don't magnetize to each other and go all over the place. So you just need to hold these down for a little bit. And then this comes first. If you try to do it another way, you're going to be trying to force it under. Just do this first. It's going to save you a lot of trouble. Then the battery. Make sure it's clean. Mostly these are clean. And then this piece you can put in as well. Or, it doesn't matter. You can do it either way. But this is the way I usually do it. It's funny, if you don't think about it, you'll do everything the way you normally do it, but once you start thinking about it and having to explain it, things go out of order. So this can go on now. That just kind of slides in. Make sure they're going in the same direction and pointed up and nothing's broken with them. So this one's good. I'm going to get a replacement for this. Let's see. Okay, this one's correct. So now you can put these on, and these have to go on before these. You might have a way to bend it and get it in afterwards, but it'll save you a lot of trouble. Put these in first. We're going to be bending it a little bit, but don't worry too much about that. Now with these magnets, you're going to see a little red line. This one barely has it. So on the left, you're going to have the red line go up. And on the right, it's going to go down. If you flip these around the other way, it will explode. But if you have them both the same way, it'll feel weird, but it'll work. Just don't have them flipped that way. So now we're going to put these in. If anything's broken on these, or the button feels like it's not coming out enough for your paddles, you can put some kind of buffer there just to give it a little more, it sticks out more and it gives it some backing. But the thing is, with a new shell, a lot of the times if you have paddle problems, this will actually fix it just by it not being warped and like bent over time, to where it has like the proper backing to go where it needs to go and have the force. Instead of just like pushing into the plastic, it actually pushes where it's supposed to. So the only thing with these is there are two types of these. Your controller will have either this one or this one. With this one, just the flat end goes in. With this one, it could go either way. Just make sure the flat ends, one of the flat ends are going inward. Now we put these in place. They slide into two little plastic slots. So then you get your very tiny T4s, and you're going to have one here and one here. And you don't have to send these screws to Valhalla. You just get them snug. You don't need to go too crazy. And would you look at that? I almost lost one of my screws. These can be a little hard to work with, but if you just like use your finger as a backing until it gets to the hole and then send it, you should be good. All right, so now we have the spring and this for the trigger selector. You want to line this up. If you cross thread it, it's not that big of a deal because it'll usually just straighten out. But you want to leave this a little loose, and I'll show you why. one all the way. This one's a little loose. And on the back, this is nice and easy to move. This one you really have to press. And what will happen is you're gonna pull this off when you try to press it, because it's barely on there, and the harder it is to move this, the more you're gonna cause friction and this will pop off. So you want to leave this a little loose, just so it can move a little more freely and this will last longer. So that's what we have. This is actually for the back shell done. It's all complete. And the motherboard, since this is a customer controller, it's going to get new sticks and new upgraded bumpers. But just to show you guys, hold down these triggers, and this one is broken, so still kind of works. And you hold down the triggers and you push it into the bottom and then kind of roll it. And just make sure this is snapped in here. That's all good. And then you just go back with your T8 and you get everything screwed in. While you're here, you can also clean the buttons and clean these. Might as well. So I start with the middle ones. You don't want to send these too tight, because then you will get problems where the controller sticks will feel weird because it's so pressed down, and the triggers will feel weird, they might stick. So for these bottom ones, same as before, be a little careful when you put these in, because the plastic under it isn't very strong. It's just like a very slim tube. And you also don't need to send these, you don't need to get these too tight, because what will happen is if these are too tight, it's going to be, you don't want a lot of pressure on this plastic shell that obviously doesn't last very long. But if you do things like this, keep it a little looser, it makes pretty big difference. Like, it'll last like 3 times as long just off of that, because if you drop it, it'll have a little more clearance and be able to move. And we're going to do this final one. Same with these. Get them all the way in so that there's no gap, but you don't have to send it all the way. So, just to show off and make it nicer at the end, clean out these buttons. What is actually going to happen is it's going to get new rubber, new one of these, and I'm going to clean out the buttons while I'm in there, but just for the sake of an end product. Now we have these that we have to put back in here, and if you have new ones, that is better. But if you don't, you can go ahead and clean them out before you put them in. Doesn't matter how you put them in. Just snaps in like that. So now you can line it up. And the way I found that is best is to go top, get all that in, then hit the sides, and hit the bottom. Make sure it's all good. Make sure home button moves freely. Then make sure all your buttons feel good. If they feel a little mushy after you do this, you have to go in and clean them a little bit better, because there's friction around where they come through. Make sure that these move freely. If one of these feels like it's harder to go in a certain direction, try loosening the screws. It'll probably fix it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The controller looks a lot better. And now I'm going to take it all apart to do it the right way. All right, hope that was helpful.